Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please make sure to introduce yourselves. Let us know who you are and where you're from in the chat box. Um, Webinars are a really cool place to like meet new friends. And also, I love seeing where everybody is from as well. I find it
Oh,
really
yeah.
interesting and crazy. It blows my mind when I
Fascinating.
see like, yeah, like
The
every
internet.
webinar that we do, it's like there's a new country. It's like it was Macedonia yesterday, and then it's like
Oh,
Japan, and then it's crazy. So many different
wow.
places.
How
Here we
exciting.
go. Hey, Maggie from
Hello, everybody.
Mohammed,
Peabody. Ooh,
Bahrain.
that's one of my
We've
students.
got, oh,
That's one of my
nice.
students. She's a sixth grader. She's a superstar. Hi, Meg. I love it. Oh, wow.
Got
Oh, I know a
Liliana
lot of,
from New Jersey. Hey,
yeah.
how's it going?
Oh,
Soad from
wow.
Saudi Arabia. How's it going? Hey, guys.
Gosh,
Uh, Dawn
incredible.
from Nova Scotia, Canada. I never knew Nova Scotia was in Canada. I know the name Nova Scotia. I didn't know it was in
Yeah.
Canada. Learned
Parents
something new
love it up
today.
there. They take their RV every summer. It's beautiful.
Oh,
I
nice.
hope my parents are here. I'm looking.
um, we've got Vaishali from
Melinda.
Ellicott City.
Hi, Melinda. Melinda Schultz. She owns the my green screen app, Doing.
Oh,
My
amazing.
obsessed.
It's gonna
I'm obsessed. Clearly.
the green screen's gonna get some good use, I think, in this session for sure.
Well, green screen gal
Hey,
has to
Grace
have a
from
green screen,
Chicago.
you know. Wouldn't work.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm a little obsessed. Oh wow, look at all these
Karen from
amazing
New
people.
Jersey, how's it
This is
going?
New Jersey.
We've got
You're
Jeremy from the
shot.
Bay
Hey, got up
Area.
in time.
Hey,
My
Walla
friend
from
Jerry Goldman's
Palestine.
wife, she said she was coming.
Okay, I think we're good to go today.
Okay.
Um, I think just on off the record, Erica, I think that there may be a slight delay between what I say and you say. So I'll try not to speak over you. Um, but yeah, I think that we can kick it off and begin. So hello everybody, and welcome to an extra special community webinar today with our amazing guest, Erika Sandstrom. Now, as many of you know, we like to put on webinars every Thursday that aren't necessarily about Wakelet, but that we feel will have a really positive effect on all the educators and all the people who join. And this is one of those webinars. So you won't be hearing much about Wakelet today. If you have any questions about Wakelet, most likely the best thing to do is to be join one of our like Wakelet for Beginners or Wakelet for Pro webinars on the Tuesdays and the Wednesdays. But you'll certainly go away from this webinar with some amazing information and some really, really awesome tips. So this is going to be a little bit different from most webinars or sessions that you've attended before. I'm really excited, and it's really great to approach it with an open mind and hopefully leave with like a new outlook on things. So today's webinar is all about slowing it down a little, taking a deep breath, relaxing, learning something new, and please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas in the chat box to the right. Like I said, make some new friends, share contact details, and we will be sharing certificates of attendance in the chat box towards the end of the session. So it's been a really, really tough time for a lot of us over the past few months. I know for one that I personally have felt really overwhelmed at times, super overwhelmed, stressed, a little bit anxious. I think that we all have responsibilities and worries and things that stress us out. So I know that the community at large will definitely be feeling the same things that we're feeling. So I wanted to invite Erika on today to talk a little bit about ways that we can reduce this stress, be mindful, and take the things that we've learned into the classrooms and adopt them in like our everyday life. So at any point, if there's something cool that you've like learned, take a screenshot of it or like just a picture on your phone and share your webinar experience with us on Twitter at Wakelet. It's really cool because we get to see what you guys think, and we also put them into a cool collection as well. So let's get started. Erika, from the chats I've had with you, I really, really, really cannot wait to hear what you have to say this session. Like I said before we started,
Oh,
I've been really looking forward to it, especially today, because I want to slow it down today, at least for the hour. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself first.
okay. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of pressure, but awesome. I am so grateful that you reached out, and people in my life know I can't get enough of talking about mindfulness, driving my family crazy. But my name is Erika Sandstrom, and I'm a school teacher, 30 years. I've been teaching. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. My plug fell out of my ear. How crazy
Oh,
is
it
that?
happens at the most convenient of
Well,
moments, doesn't it?
of course it did. Of course it did. Interesting. But anyway, I'm glad I caught it because I would have lost me. But anyway, so I'm back. I've been teaching for 30 years, and I'm also a yoga instructor. And the thing is about this, anybody that knows me too, I'm really hyper, and talk about calming down. You don't think of Erika, but that's the reason this works for me. And this is the reason I use it. And I always thought, being a yoga instructor for all those years, that I was mindful. No, I wasn't. I was a mindless yoga instructor. I have ADHD, which I think is a gift, but it is definitely something that this has helped me with, and it just triggers anxiety and my whole life. And so I found mindfulness amazing, and I'd love to tell the story of how I got here. It has a good punchline, so it's worth it. I'm gonna attempt to use my green screen here. This is my plan, but you know how life is. Anyway, so I was in Canada and on a flight home. It was just an hour-long flight. I'm hiding myself on purpose because I'm wearing horizontal stripes, and nobody ever should do that. It was 6 a.m. But anyway, I was on this flight, or supposed to be, and I got bumped from the flight. So they asked me to stand to the side while I watched the plane roll away. And these two were also told the same thing. And we had seats and everything. But this man in the middle, this lovely man here, he was so positive, beautiful British accent. He's from South Africa. I won't even attempt a British accent, but he was like, "Oh, I wonder what adventures we'll have today. Oh, it's so lovely. It's so lovely that things like this happen. And maybe maybe we could even drive back to Boston." And And I'm like, it's from Toronto. And I'm looking at this guy, and I don't even know why I said this, Ms. But I looked at him and I go, "You were so positive." I'll see if I can look at him. You remind me of the Dog Whisperer. And I was like, I've never even seen that show. And then he goes, "Oh, that's interesting. You said that." So then a couple hours by, they couldn't get on the flight. They would have sent us to Arizona, and our flight to Boston. And so I took out my Deepak and Oprah mindful meditation. They do 21-day meditation challenges. They're incredible. And he was Oprah on his own. And he goes, "That's interesting that you have Oprah." And then he picks up his phone and shows me a picture of him and Oprah. And I'm like, Who is this man? Right? So I thought, gosh, he's so positive, and he kept filming everything, and it was really funny. And then, so come to find out, like I said, it's a little story, but it's worth it. There's him and Oprah, but he is Dr. Blaise Agnew. He is a mindfulness expert. He's known worldwide for being a mindfulness expert, and he works. He's a psychiatrist and medical doctor. But anyway, so he's my mentor. He's my my savior, and has trained me. But that whole day changed my life. We went through the whole day running through airports and practicing true mindfulness, even when things don't go right. And he's in a movie, highly recommend. It's called Mindfulness, the Movie. So watch that documentary on Amazon. But that's who I am. Go ahead.
That's amazing. Like, I think a lot of people in the chat are just saying, like, that's how the universe works sometimes, yeah. Right? It just unfolds in like the way that, yeah, it's crazy. It unfolds in the way that it should.
Here
and like,
I am now.
I've always been right. I've always been really inspired by people who, in a really panicky, tense, stressful situation, they're like the chill one, they're cool, they're calm. And not only that, but they look for like the positives as well. And it's funny because like, I try and be like that. And I try and tell others to be like that. But when in reality with stress, I think that there's so many like neurons firing off in our brain that it takes like so much effort to be like, you know what, I'm going to look at this in a positive way. You really have to like adjust your brain and like mentally decide, like, I'm going to make a decision now to look at this situation in a positive perspective rather than a negative one. And I think that that's what this webinar is really going to be all about. I we prepared some questions together, which I think that everybody would really appreciate. I found that message really, really interesting, that story. I think that, like I said, it's strange how the universe unfolds in the way that it should, right? So I guess we obviously at Wakelet, a lot of people who use our platform are educators, and a lot of teachers have to deal with the overwhelming situation of handling a lot of students, you know, deadlines, pressure, budget cuts. There's a lot of real life situations and pressures that teachers may find themselves under. Teaching mainly just being like one of them, right? And we focus a lot on the teaching aspect of it. But I wanted to discover from you, like, from a student's perspective, what would you say the benefits of mindfulness are? And what is just being mindful? Like, what does that entail?
Oh gosh, the benefits of mindfulness are, there's so many, insurmountable. And I'm laughing at the chat box because someone said, yeah, everything happens for a reason. It's so true. I was just telling Misbah that my coffee maker just broke. And I thought, oh, they don't want me to have a cup of coffee right now. I'm already hyper enough. So the benefits of mindfulness, I know you can't read this. And before I forget to tell you, I do have everything you're going to see here. I have a slideshow and a website for all of you. You'll get that link at the end. It's also under my Green Screen Gal Twitter or Instagram. So if I go too fast or you can't read it, don't worry. You'll have all of this. So for teens, especially, I love this one. I don't know if you can read it. It says helps with ADHD symptoms. But the benefits are just, there's just so many. It's hard to explain, but positive emotions, feelings of love and kindness to themselves, self-acceptance. They do better in school. They do better with their peers. But my favorite is it really helps to foster empathy and compassion. And compassion and empathy aren't things you can truly teach. You have to give people opportunities to practice them. And there's so many ways through teaching mindfulness that they can. And the great thing about mindfulness too is you don't have to change as a person. You have it right in your backpack. It's always in your back. And I call it my mindful mirror. It's not always fun. We'll get into that part later, but it's definitely not always fun. And the thing too about children, Dr. Blaze, sorry if you can't read that, but Dr. Blaze, I love this sculpture. I forgot where it is. It's overseas somewhere, but it talks about too that there's always a little kid in all of us. We were all innocent when we started. And he says that kids are naturally mindful. We just have to help them keep it. Or he says it more eloquently. You know, we have to help them maintain it in their resiliency. So it's not a new thing. Think about a 3-year-old, 2-year-old, or a 4-year-old. They're so happy. And also with mindfulness, one of my favorite books I read in the beginning was The Mindfulness Habit. And the very first page, it says, when we have anxiety or worry about things that haven't happened, we're living in the future. I'm trying to move over. And when we have depression, anxiety, regret, guilt, shame, all those horrible lower emotions, we're living in the past. I know a lot of you've heard this before. And then what you're missing is the beautiful present moment. And what's great is you write this. I love John Kabat-Zinn. He has the best quote. There I am on my screen. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf.
I love
so I tell
that.
the kids, yeah, you can't stop the waves, and you can learn how to surf. And your surfboard is your mindfulness. So every day, including this morning when I couldn't get the lighting right and everything else, you go through these waves, and you can have an anxiety wave that day, and you can go up here and then do your spiral down, or when the waves start, you can just learn how to surf through it. So that's what I love about mindfulness. You don't have to be, it's not about, you have to be in a good mood. When people hear the word like, oh, here we go with happy face again. No, it's about recognizing your emotions and finding a way to ride the wave. I think that's, yeah.
I love that. I also love that last screen as well. I think that that screen's probably a really good one for people to like screenshot, the wave one, because
the wave.
it actually, yeah, because I think that, like, especially with Wakelet, again, we're looking at how things connect. Like, we obviously, the Wakelet wave is like a big thing. That's like the hashtag that we use, people ride the Wakelet wave. So I particularly love that. And I love that quote as well. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. I think that's incredible.
And I say it often. Yeah. I have videos on it and everything. I just love it. I actually have a
Yeah,
wave ring. I think, talk about kismet, everybody. This is something I made a long time ago. And then I have a wave ring I got for my big
it's
birthday
crazy.
I had this past summer. Huge birthday.
Everything's connected, right? And I
Everything's
also love the
connected.
idea. I also love the idea of there being like a child in every single one of us, how we don't lose that. And just to reinforce that, it's like, well, how do you awaken mindfulness in students? When it's like, well, they're actually some of the most mindful, people are way more mindful than adults probably in most cases. So I really love that. Um,
Thanks.
okay, so the next question I think is really around like adopting mindfulness inside and outside the classroom. Okay, so we've learned how you can get mindfulness out of students, but what about for yourself? Like as a teacher, dealing with all the stresses, dealing with all that overwhelming responsibility that you have with students.
Yeah.
How can you get the most out of mindfulness as a concept inside and outside the classroom?
That is such a great question. And I was telling him that this is really a three-part answer. Trying to find the slide because this one's a good one. But there's definitely reasons why teachers need to practice mindfulness. And I'm sure everybody can relate to this one. And I certainly can. I teach middle school. And I'd be lying to say if I was mindful all the time. Absolutely not. So it's really good for teachers. But the stress of COVID alone has made it a three-part question. We have our COVID classroom, we have our classroom that we go into back to someday, and we have outside the classroom. So I like to break it down with these 6 things when I tell people, and don't worry if you can't get a screenshot because you'll get this in your slideshow. But these are the ways you can practice mindfulness through meditation, gratitude, yoga, and movement. Teaching mindfulness activities. Oh my gosh, I have gobs of them. So fun. And that was a green book. Using mindfulness apps and extensions like Mindful Break. I'll show you that one later. And my personal savior, self-care. But the thing is, sorry about that. See, I had a feeling that would happen. And you can't think that way. You can't think negatively because things will happen if you think it. But for us outside the classroom, there's so many things that people probably do already. Self-care is huge, but mindful walking, instead of just taking a walk, you can actually go to YouTube and find a mindful walking meditation or just a walking CD. How old am I? And when you walk mindfully, you feel the bottoms of your feet and you notice the things around. Use your 5 senses. You also, when you're driving sometimes, or I know personally that I end up at work and I don't know how I got there sometimes. So that's a place that a lot of times we're not as mindful. And it's important to recognize that. I even have a quote on my dashboard and in my classroom. It says, mindfulness isn't hard. You just have to remember to do it.
Right.
It's the best quote. It's everywhere. Like you with your wristband, right?
Yeah.
And gratitude journals and things like that. But one of my favorite things is to, for example, I went to Dunkin' Donuts to get a coffee, and I'm always running late. That's something I'm working on. And I usually, when you go in to get your coffee or whatever, and I'm a very polite person, but a lot of times I feel like if you stare at the person long enough, your coffee will come faster. So, you're like this and you're like this, and
I've
you're
been
thinking of
there for
everything you
sure.
have to
Yeah.
do. You're a crazy
It's like
person.
pressing, it's
And
like it's like pressing the button on an
yeah,
elevator, right? Like it's not going to make it faster, but you're like, yeah.
that is an excellent analogy. That's exactly it. And we're thinking about the wave of the things I have to get done or the things that are coming up. So anyway, so what I did is I want to practice what I preach. So I went in and there was a line like normal, but I smelled the most beautiful food. I was hungry, so I could smell the croissants and everything. And then I was looking around and I noticed the girl's earrings behind the counter. The girl waiting on me, she had the most beautiful earrings. And then I saw the light sockets. They were all bright orange. It was cool. And then the artwork. And then I saw and then I listened and I heard Kiss 108 on the radio. So I was like, oh, that's nice. And then there was this little 2-year-old girl dancing. So I started dancing with her. And then, you know, and then I saw something really beautiful, the donuts. I don't usually eat donuts, but man, they are, I wanted to, because they're the artwork on those things. I never noticed it. So that's a quick example, but my coffee came like that. I left there in a great mood, dancing and singing. And that's how you can practice mindfulness. It's just be where you are and just be in the moment. There's a million ways you can practice that, but in the classroom, like I said, this is a kind of a long answer. COVID classroom is different. The COVID classroom practicing mindfulness, things I've been doing, there's so many things you can do, but just a lot of routine is good, but a lot of check-ins. I do an emoji check-in where they don't have to write, or in the Shy Kids, and I have this little survey and they just give me their emojis of how they're feeling that day, what's something that's going right today, what's something you're worried about. I shared two videos that I'll share with all of you. If you haven't seen these yet, write this down. Rooted in Love and The Realization, spelled the British way with an S. What I did is I posted those, and that was the most engagement I've got from my students, and just them responding to those. And it's basically how to look at the positives of what's going on. So we've been spending a lot of time talking about that. And as far as routine, I still have karaoke Friday. We're doing it virtually. Yeah, I have it in my classroom. We got to have karaoke Friday. We can't miss out on that. But the thing is that the kids, they are learning more about gratitude and talk about empathy and compassion, because even the small conversations of, so guys, do you appreciate ice cream more? Because I know I do. If I find some chocolate in this house right now, I am rationing it. I'm like, oh, and I'm so grateful for my home. I'm grateful for my, I'm lucky to have a paycheck as a teacher. There's so much to be grateful for. So I've been concentrating a lot on gratitude with the kids, instead of them saying, I'm bored. And so that's powerful. But when we get back to school, did you want to say anything? I'm sorry.
No, I'm listening to you, and it's like the things that I'm loving the things that you're saying. Like, you probably can't see my face, but I'm just there, just like nodding, because like the stuff that you're saying, it resonates so much with me. Like, like you said, just before you continue with the answer to this question, like the stuff that you're talking about, gratitude, I think is if there's ever a better time, there's never been a better time to appreciate it more, I think, and appreciate the things that you take for granted. Rather, like now, I've obviously still working from home. It's very, very busy, but being able to like go out, like I just decided, do you know what? I'm just going to go out and I'm just going to go on a walk, and I just need to like get out of this space. And just, I know that there's a lake behind my house, but I never knew that there was like a field near the lake because I'd never ventured further out. So a couple of days ago, I was just like, I'm just going to go there and just walk. And oh my gosh, it was absolutely beautiful. It opened up, this like path opened up with the trees into this amazing field. And the field had about like 18 horses on it. Now, in the UK, the horses they're very big. They're like beasts, they're like big horses. And I was just walking along the fence, and then I was just like, this beautiful white horse just came up and just started I started to like stroke it and nuzzle it, and I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. I know for a fact that this situation would never have happened, if I wasn't working from home and needed to get out. I would never have discovered that there was a place outside my house that I could go to like meditate a little bit and relax. And I never knew that I'd be able to like interact with a beautiful, beautiful animal. It was like this, honestly, it was like a unicorn. And
wow.
I went to see
So
it yesterday
cool.
as well. Yeah, I went to see him yesterday, and I bought him like an apple and a carrot. You're not supposed to feed him, I don't think, but I couldn't help it. But it's just like, yeah, being grateful for the things around you, and noticing that, like you said, taking from something as simple as food, like rather than just stuffing it in your mouth because you're hungry, like understanding what the smell is like, understanding what the texture is like, think a little bit about where it came from, just things to take you out of the usual headspace that you're in. But yeah, please, I think you were talking. I really want you to continue this question because I'm absolutely loving this.
Oh, you're adorable. Someone just asked, I saw it pop up, the names of the 2 videos.
I'll write them down.
Like I said, I'll give you all of this information in your little slideshow. Rooted in Love and The Realization, spelled with an S. Yeah.
And do they just search for those on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll post the link after we finish.
Oh, perfect.
And So yeah, because I want you to be here, be in the present moment. Don't worry about that. You know, just be here.
Right.
uh, but yeah, the gratitude part, I mean, Oprah knows it best. And it's not just about gratitude for the things we're always grateful for, but the little things throughout the day. It's kind of a fun game. I have a gratitude app. I highly recommend this too. There's tons of them. I'm sure people can tell you in the chat box. I use Thankful. Um, and it's neat because every day you basically take a picture and then you, I don't know if you can see that, you write all the things you're grateful for. And some days it's a book, and other days it's like, okay, I saw a squirrel today. Because I mean, not every day, squirrel was really cute and coffee was good. All right, that's good. But it's a very good practice to get into. And then it's a diary. It's fun to look back.
Mm. Mm.
And so gratitude is huge right now for the kids. And also there's so many, I even made a mindfulness chart of videos for K through 12. I'm going to share with you, and a Wakelet. I made a Wakelet, and that's how we met.
Exactly.
And I have a mindfulness and a yoga one. There's so many free things for kids right now. So, and there's a lot of really great resources for teachers to use it. And it's kind of more important, I think, than their curriculum because of what we're going through. But as far as when school reopens, when my students enter the room, there's always music playing. Fridays, it's music, it's Earth, Wind, Fire, it's group. But on other days, it's, you know, sometimes binaural beats, or it's just nature sounds, just to, you know, there's teenagers, they're coming in from a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And I start class, I do what Mindful Schools does. I use the gong thing to start, but I don't use it. You're not supposed to go like this. I meant to have it for you, because it's not meant for that. It's meant for, oh, okay, we're going to have a mindful moment. And sometimes our mindful moment is as simple as, you know, let's do a breathing bubble, which we're going to try here in a second. And then other times we do some chair stretching and chair yoga. And then other times we'll go look out the window. If I feel like they're really stressed out, we'll do the whole thing I did at Dunkin' Donuts, but we'll sit on the windowsill, all 28 of them, and we'll just look outside.
How do your students react to that, Erica? Like, what's their behavior after that? Do you notice a difference between, you know, before you did that and after you've done that? Like, what's their general reactions?
I have been so pleasantly surprised at how great the reaction has been at the middle school age, because, you know, it's all about peer pressure and what your friends think. And it's unbelievable to me how many boys, especially over girls, are really into it. And a lot of times I'll say, okay, guys, we're going to do this stretch here and open our shoulder blades. And then I'll say, this is how Tom Brady throws the football so far, you know, and then all the boys go. So you have to get creative about that, but they're very open to it because they're stressed. And I have a few stories about that, about when kids actually ask for things from me. They say, can we do some breathing bubbles before we start? And Mindful Break is a great app extension they can put right on their Chromebooks too. And also in schools, our school district unfortunately had a lot of tragedy this year, and we created quiet rooms. So our school has, all the schools are setting up quiet rooms for this kind of space, and instead of having ISS, in school suspension, things like that. And I know that's a pretty popular practice across the world. I also use the language of mindfulness, have a mindful day. Every day. But yeah, the kids are super open to it. And I think I've shared this with you, but I have a club called the Mindful Superheroes. So I'm trying to get it to, it's actually going throughout my school district this year. They're letting me spread the club, but it's so fun because it's a creative club where the kids actually, here, I'll show you something we make. So here's one of my students, Brandon. I hope he's watching today. Fitzy. Negativity, yeah, oh, nice. Get rid of it. So my club, the Mindful Superheroes, they're actually a group of kids that, and you can see it all over my Twitter, that create things through the green screen, but we practice mindfulness first. They have capes, they have green capes, and these green capes are so fun. I love these things. And we turn them into green screens and they become superheroes. They actually earn names like Caring Kara, Meditative Margaret, Mindful Miss Sandstrom, and even my 8th graders are into this. And the reason I'm telling you about that is because the kids that show up to the club shocked me. They're usually kids that are trouble. I hate to say troublemakers.
Hmm.
Sorry, kiddos, if you're watching. It's been beautiful to see. They're just incredible. And this one is one of my favorites. This is Enrique. He loves the glitter jar. He and I are very similar in personality. And so this glitter jar, I meant to bring it up later, but I'll show you now, is a popular practice. I'm sure a lot of teachers have seen it, that when we lose our minds or we get upset or we get angry, our mind feels like that. That's what's going on. So with the glitter jar, you find a safe space to have it, and you let kids, they can build up their own fort with pillows and all kinds of things like that. Soft music if they want it. I usually am the one in control of the glitter jar because this one's glass. They're not always in glass. And then the kids, to either music and with some breathing techniques, they watch until the glitter settles to the bottom. And I have like 4 of them at home. So
That's amazing.
I use my glitter jar all the time. I mean, you know, there's a whole, yeah, anyway. So with the glitter jar, it's really powerful. My 5-year-old niece, 6-year-old niece, she just turned 6. She loves her glitter jar, but I always think that it's important to use strategies with kids, not just when they're in that space, because sometimes, you know, they're already so upset, it's hard to calm them down. But she'll like put her arms back and go, I want my glitter jar. And so she has her little, you know, she lives in California, but we do this over Skype actually. And she'll go to her space, and my sister will get out her glitter jar and she'll breathe and watch the glitter settle, because that's what happens to your brain. So
I think that these little tips and techniques, just so you know, like the chat's going crazy. Like people absolutely love these ideas. And guys, again, like I said, anybody in the chat's like, if you want to share these ideas, it can literally just be as simple as taking a screenshot and just sharing it on Twitter or wherever it might be, Facebook or whatever it might be. I love that idea of just taking a moment and living in the moment. And you mentioned something that I really wanted to try. We've never done anything like this on a webinar before, but then again, we've never had a webinar like this before, so why not? You were talking about a breathing bubble, right?
yes.
Like a breathing bubble break, because we've come to like the half an hour, so like the halfway point. So maybe it'd be a really cool like place to introduce that idea.
Yes, and actually I accidentally skipped over our chair yoga, so we can maybe do that too.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so let me, there's tons of breathing bubbles out there. I'm gonna share one from the Calm app. And if that one doesn't get glitchy, I have a backup. That's even better. All right, so, disabled screen sharing. That's okay, I have a backup. That's okay.
I can
has
do
a great one. So
you'll be able to do it now. You'll be able to do it now.
Okay.
I've just allowed it. Yeah, it's off by default, unfortunately.
No worries. That's when you get mindful. You know, you don't want to worry about it. No problem. Let's just hope I don't share my notes and I share the right screen. Yeah, I get nervous sharing my screen. That's why I use the green screen today. So let's see if I can. There it is. Do you see my combo?
Yeah, I can see it. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so we're all going to try this together, and I want you to inhale as long as it says inhale that much, and then exhale as well. And this is almost 1 minute. Let's see how it goes.
I'm going to try it out as well.
All right.
Love it.
How do you feel?
I feel so relaxed. I'm not joking. Honestly, genuinely feel really, really relaxed. It takes you, because it makes me like, First of all, also quick tip for everyone:
That means
where
that
should be the
we're
breathing
watching
come
that
from? Should it come from the
exercise
stomach or
on
should
the
it
side.
come from the?
I really like the build.
I'm
It's
so
got
sorry.
hand grips on the side. It's shockproof and
This is why I don't share my screen.
20,000 milliamps.
This is why I don't share my screen. I
It's fine.
apologize.
It's sorted. Yeah, I was saying, like, when people breathe, when you do like deep breathing techniques, there's a difference between like throat and chest breathing and like stomach breathing, right? I've never understood that connection because whenever I've read stuff, it's like stomach breathing. I don't know what that is. Could you just really quickly, like, for me and I guess the other people that don't know the difference between like chest breathing and stomach breathing, explain it a little bit.
Well, I actually have never heard it put like that. It's more just, well, yeah, I guess it is stomach, your diaphragm breathing. It's just basically, it's just take the full breath from the base of your spine all the way to the crown of your head. Because what we do is we're running around. I always say we're on this hamster wheel of life that this pandemic has stopped. And we don't breathe enough. We don't get enough oxygen or water in our lives. So if you breathe from the bottom of your spine, here, let's breathe with this one this time. We're going to breathe with the donut. The kids love this one. Okay. So I want you to breathe from the bottom of your spine and then imagine it going all the way to the top of your head. So go ahead and inhale. And then exhale. And imagine the breath going up and down. And also there's breathing tricks where you can breathe in thirds. If you breathe, let's try that one. I don't want you to pass out on me though. Okay, we're gonna do it in thirds. So go ahead and inhale for 1/3 and hold it. Inhale for 2 and hold it. Inhale for 3 and release. We could keep going with that. We might get too relaxed.
I know what I'm going to be doing after this for sure.
And also it's really important to, I could go on for days about this, but to release your jaw from stress. You can put your tongue behind your front teeth, but also to breathe. If you can breathe in for like 3 or 4 and breathe out for more breaths than you breathe in, that's also a way to reset your whole nerve system. So sometimes I'll say breathe in for 3, exhale for 5, you know, so that's another good one.
Thank you so much for sharing
better.
that.
Like it takes that little time to feel better, and that's just breathing. We haven't even stretched yet.
Legitimately, yeah. Why don't you show us like a few stretches that we can do when we're at our desks, and then we can jump into the next.
Oh, we can jump into the anger. That's a fun one. No, so for chair yoga, I mean, obviously, I have a lot of videos coming to y'all too, and a lot of them say for seniors, but trust me, they're for all of us now. We're all, the ergonomics and everything we're doing is hurting our backs. And if your head's forward, I tell my students, I show them how they can, the kids are growing horns in their necks right now, but that's a whole different subject. But as far as stretching, if you, just for safety reasons, if you're pregnant, please don't twist. Okay, so put your feet on the floor. I want you to roll your shoulders back. Go ahead and reach behind your chair or your back, If you can't, go ahead and stretch up. I'm going to go off screen a little bit here. You can put your feet about shoulder width apart, and I want you guys to do, this is funny, come up and over and stretch. All right, and then come on up. All ready?
I love it.
Okay, now another thing you can do is you can touch the floor with one of your hands in the center of your feet. Yeah, since we don't have time, we're only gonna do it once, but go ahead and put your hand, I think it's funny, I'm leaving the screen, palm, that's new for webinar, and take your other arm up to the sky. Try it, everybody, come on, it feels great.
It does feel good.
Go ahead and switch hands. I know, it doesn't take much. Oh, this feels great for me too. This is a good one.
I love it.
Come on up, and then just a quick twist. You can just grab the side of your chair, and if you're really flexible and not pregnant, go ahead and grab the back of your chair and lift and twist. But lift your spine, lift and breathe. Don't forget to breathe. People always forget.
I always forget to breathe. Always.
I do too. That's why I do this. Inhale and exhale. Okay, other side. Inhale. Woo. And
we've got a question from Sherry who asks, Where did you say to put your tongue for the jaw, the tension release?
You can put it behind your front teeth,
Hmm.
and it's basically just so you release your jaw. And there's a whole scientific thing in the slides that explains what it does for your nerve system. But yeah, it's really powerful. It's powerful just to relax your face. And there's also this tense and release thing you can do. I do this on a yoga mat. Where you're laying flat on the ground, and you tense up. You start with your ankles, you start with your knees, and then you get really, like you're really, really mad, like this. And then you inhale. I look hilarious. And then exhale. That's going to be a screenshot. My dad will send me. He'll go, "Oh, good job today," and he'll send that face.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I found really amazing, Erica? And this is like such a fun subject, but we have got another question. So as soon as I've done this, we'll jump into that one. But what I found really good, and this is a tip I think for anyone who suffers from like not being able to get to sleep quickly. So what happens with me is I'm the type of person that I'm not a morning person at all. Like I'm very, very much a night owl. So what will happen is I'll get all my amazing ideas and I'll be the most productive towards the evening. So then when it comes time to sleep, my brain is like just, there's so much going on that I find it really difficult to actually get into the state to fall asleep. And another yoga teacher actually who I played poker with back in the day, she taught me this amazing trick, and she said, concentrate on your limbs. So just focus on like one limb. So focus on like your left shoulder and focus on it for 3 seconds and relax it. Then focus on your right shoulder for 3 seconds and relax it. And then just go through every part of your body, even your fingers, and make a conscious, mindful effort to try and relax that. And if you just go through it as a cycle, eventually you fall asleep. Best tip I've ever found, honestly, in terms of sleeping. It works like a charm. Just concentrate on the parts of your body and you'll realize that, oh my God, I've been like, my arm's been tense, or my leg has been tense, or my jaw's clenched. And then if you focus on them, it just relaxes you. And then like, boom, you just managed to fall into sleep. So yeah, that's a quick tip from my side. That's the only tip.
That's a great tip. It's actually wonderful. It's a body scan. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I teach
I guess that's the scientific term for it. Yeah.
I also teach them to put their legs up against the wall or to lay on the floor and put them over their bed. But I tell them if they have a twin bed, please don't do it because you'll fall asleep and fall off. But yeah, just think that your legs over your head. But the body scan's great. Good suggestion. I love it.
Let's jump, just because we've got about 20 minutes left. So let's jump into the third question, which is, so a lot of teachers and everybody in life, I guess at this point we're at, everybody deals with conflict, right? So whether you're disagreeing with one of your kids in your class, or whether it's a sibling or a family member, what kind of tips would you have when you're faced with a confrontation, like conflict resolution, I guess? What types of methods have you found to be effective with your students, with your colleagues, and I guess with just people around you in your orbit?
Well, that's where social emotional learning comes in. But I always say that mindfulness is kind of the hat on top of all this. Like if people aren't mindful, they're going to have a hard time learning what I statements are, or be able to reflect if they actually already use them. But the thing about emotions, I'm sure a lot of people out there heard of this about your brain, how you have two brains. You have I'm just going to show this, and I think people will relate to this for sure. You have your brain that makes good decisions, and you have your emotional brain. So your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala. And this is what happens when we're triggered. Okay, we get triggered, all right, and then we feel trapped in our emotions. And so what happens is you flip your lid. And that's when conflict happens, is because whether it's tears or anger. Remember Anchorman? I'm in a glass box of emotions. Love me some Anchorman. Yeah, he's hilarious. But when you flip your lid, and this is something I work on all the time, is you're not communicating. You're not communicating with what the nice person would do and what the emotion. So this is your fight or flight. We need this part of our brain. So if a bear's coming at you, you better flip your lid and run. But with kids, helping them to understand how their brain works and how in that moment they need to find mindfulness is the key. So the way to help them is to teach them and ourselves, oh gosh, I don't know where it is this is a really good slide. We'll have to find that. It's in here somewhere. Self-care for teachers. But anyway, so when you use mindfulness, you pause. So stimulus, reaction. Reaction is something that you've done your whole life. It's your knee-jerk reaction, your automatic response, your autopilot. Or with mindfulness, when you start practicing it, you feel that stimulus coming on. Someone cut you off in traffic. I don't know, whatever it is that makes you mad. Someone took the last bit of ice cream during COVID, crazy stuff like that. When you feel it in your body. Like I know that I feel a lot of my anger. I'll start to feel it in my jaw. My jaw will lock and I'll feel it in my middle back. Like, oh, if I know it's coming, I know I need to go pause. I need to do any of the things that we already did, breathing techniques. So the key to conflict resolution is to try to stop it before it even happens. But there's so many things we do. My clubs, what I have is I have my clubs do activities. Like I'll have them pick a card and write a video script. Or so they wrote one on, it was called negative self-talk. And we said, put your brakes on that negative self-talk. And so the kids run around their capes and they save the day. But the coolest part is when I hear them at their lockers talking about it later. Even days later in different kids, like someone put herself down and someone goes, put your brakes on that negative self-talk. So my point in that is if you want to teach conflict resolution, have kids get creative with it, have them make things, or not just videos, but an art class and things like that to teach others. They remember 90% of what they teach others. But yeah, we have that's such a long answer. Like I can't even really get into it.
No, it's really good. Because I think that like it's something that we all face, and like people deal with it in different ways. Like when if I get cut off in traffic, or if I'm in like a traffic jam or something, I can see people around me really feeling that like acidity of the situation, and I try, that's the one area of my life that I think I've got in good control, which is the driving, because I think that it's a lot of us drive and you're not in control of what other people do. You're only in control of what you do. And I think that for some reason, when we get behind the wheel, we become really horrible people. A lot of people, we say things like if someone cuts us off, we say things to that person, like screaming that we never do. Yeah. So like, I found that like, just accepting like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, this is not a tragedy, what's happening. Like I guess it's putting things into perspective and looking at them and being like, you know what? I'm okay. Like I'm in a traffic jam right now. This is the reality. There's nothing that I can do to change it whatsoever. So why am I getting stressed about it? And I think that when it comes to conflicts as well, conflict resolution, I've tried to practice it over the years because I worked in retail for a while, and then I did law. So those are two areas which you tend to find quite a lot of conflict. Now, luckily at Wakelet, like my life doesn't have much conflict in it because the team are amazing and the community is amazing. But back then, I had to deal with it, and I found like, just like you said, stopping it before it starts. Because if somebody is kind of coming at you, what they expect from you is that same frame, right? But the less that you say, the less that you do, the more that they're looking at themselves rather than like having something to get angry about. So what I find is that if someone was shouting at me or getting really angry or whatever, the more calm I would be, the more opposite emotion that I would show to them, the more that they would calm down. So if somebody's screaming, the natural reaction is for you to scream back because you want to be heard. But if you just like bring your voice down really quietly, you'll notice that they will as well, because they're not getting what they want from that situation. They don't mean to get what they want, but yeah. So I'm so sorry for hijacking that. Continue, honestly.
No,
please.
you didn't hijack it. That was perfect. You actually said it for me. I mean, negative breeds negative, and it's that whole thing, that mindful mirror of when you have a problem with somebody else, look in that mirror first.
So.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No, sorry, go on.
But I wanted to tell a story, but I don't know if I have time about Stanley.
No, please. I think that, I mean, we'll be able to get through the last questions perfectly fine. I'm pretty sure, I mean, I don't think that anybody's going to be like, oh my God, I have to run. I'm really enjoying this. So yeah, just let us hear the story.
Honestly, we could do a whole nother one just on conflict resolution.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but it's true. Even with students, I always say when you teach middle school, don't take it personally. And just be mindful of how you're reacting to them, because you'll never win with a teenager. Never will. But this is Stanley. Stanley, he's great. He's in high school now. And this is one of my moments, many moments where my club or just things I do in class, he was so funny. He came into school one day, goes, Miss Sandstrom, you know, you really helped me out last night. And he goes, I had a situation. I'm like, okay. His brother, I guess, he was babysitting his brother, and his brother spilled the cereal all over the floor. And Stanley's a big tall kid. He came in, he's like, ah! And he went to his normal reaction that he told me he probably learned. I've learned, you know, you learn certain things. And he started screaming at him. His brother starts crying. But then he stopped himself. He said he was like midway there, and he said he thought of me and what I taught him. He backed away and he did 3 breathing techniques. And then he goes, and then I went back, I helped him pick it up, and then we played a game together. And I'm like, oh, teacher moment, oh my God. You know, so I have so many stories like that. So this is worth it. It's not hard to start. It's not hard to start. It could be so simple. You can, elementary teachers, when they come in from recess, you probably have meetings anymore, that's the time to do it. Just bring them back into their bodies, bring them back into the present moment, help them to notice things, help them to notice their emotions, and you know, be able to talk about it. It's amazing. Yeah.
So we've got I guess the 5th thing to talk about. I think it's like question 4, is it? Or did we already cover that? Which is like,
I covered a lot of it. I can teach another breathing technique that I love.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do that. And then once you do that, then we can jump into like some of the feedback that we've had. Or if anybody has any questions, I guess now would be a good time to ask them. We've got about 10 minutes left. So I know I know I've got loads of questions to ask, but if anybody has a question that they want to ask Erika, please just let us know in the chat. But let's do one more breathing technique, because I love that.
Okay, so I'm going to put on my closing slide so I don't forget. Before I forget, I'm sending light and energy to everybody, because, you know, energy is pretty powerful. But one of the best breathing techniques, I think, is the 5-finger breathing. And if kids, I always tell the kids, if you don't want to do this where your friends see you, you can just imagine your hand. But I call it mountains and valleys. They're called all kinds of things. And you're going to inhale up to the top of the mountain. We're going to exhale into the valley. Okay, you ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
Here we go. Inhale and exhale into the valley. Inhale, up the mountain, exhale into the valley. Inhale and exhale. Should have done this sooner. I feel great. Inhale, exhale. Kind of tickles. Inhale and exhale. I caught my boss, Todd Busey, great guy. I caught him doing this in a meeting once after I taught him, and little things like that.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. And I think that like these conversations are so important, I think, especially for kids, because like you said before, a lot of kids' behavior is learned, right? I know for a fact that like I picked up certain habits on ways of dealing with worry from my father. I know that for sure. Like my dad tends to be more on the side of worrying about things as opposed to being optimistic about them. And I've definitely learned that behavior. So if there's a situation that's outside of my control, quite often I'll worry about it a lot, and then it'll be in the back of my mind, and I'll have to really practice getting into the back of my mind, figuring out what it is. And then the moment I realize that I cannot do anything to change the outcome, that's when I relax. And I think that for a lot of us, it's about control, right? Like I love being in control of situations. I don't like the idea of like letting go. I like to make sure that everything's kind of in its place and that things are happening in the way that I want them to happen. And I think that the moment that something goes out of my control, it puts me in like an anxious state, like a worried state. And it's not so much that I'm worried about the thing that's going to happen. I think it's just because I'm worried that I can't control it. Does that make sense? I'm worried about that.
You just completely said the perfect statement for what we're going through right now. You know, and teachers we're naturally control people anyway. Me too. But what's happening right now is so out of our control, and it's hard to let go of that, and it causes anxiety. And that's a lot of this anxiety is not just the fear, but it's also the lack of control. we don't have control. And talk about a time to be mindful. What can we do? What can we do? We just have to go with the flow. And it's so powerful when you start doing that. You know, and I have to work on not being offended by people that do worry more than I do.
Right.
You know, my parents would tell you that. But you're right about learning it. I had a girl in the elevator pretty recently. She was in the elevator at school. She said, "Oh, I'm so scared of elevators. I'm so scared, Miss Sandstrom, I need to get out of here." And I said, "Oh, did something happen in an elevator?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Oh, where do you think that came from?" I go, "Is someone in your family scared of elevators?" She goes, "Yeah, my mom. My mom is so scared of it." And then she stopped herself and she looked at me and she goes, "Did I learn it?" I was like, "Oh," because I didn't want to tell her that, you know, I wanted her to come to that conclusion. So that was a mindful moment right there. You can have them all day long. And teachers do. We all do. You're already practicing it. Just be mindful of yourself.
Yeah, and I think that the impact that you're going to have on these students at such a young age, I think it's amazing because back when I was in school, mindfulness and you know, understanding the power of things like meditation and breathing techniques and that type of stuff, it was very fringe. You know, very few people practiced it. It wasn't something that played a big part in my education at all. In actuality, I feel like if there was ever like a fight, our gym teacher would kind of like encourage it, like, you know, boys will be boys, like let them get it out of their system, that type of thing. That's what they should be doing. And I feel like it's just amazing now to be able to interact with students and share those tips and those methods and those techniques with them, because I think that, like you said, kids are like sponges, you know, like when you teach them things like this, they're gonna I think become more adjusted and a lot easier to handle the stresses of the modern day world, because kids are dealing with stuff nowadays that I know that I never dealt with or had to deal with. The stuff that happens online, the pressures of social media, everybody being connected. I mean, I got my first cell phone when I was like 18, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's now, I think nowadays more than ever, practices like this and the conversation that we're having now and all the amazing things that you shared are so important.
Yes. And
Erika, where
sorry.
can people find like the stuff that you shared? Because in my mind, I'm feeling like we need to make like a Wakelet collection of all of the content that you've got. But if you have like a site or something that you think people can find all these techniques and things that you've done, I think it would be really useful.
I'm going to see if I can type it in the chat box here. Let's see if I remember what it is. I think this is right, folks. I called it Wakelet Mindfulness. If that doesn't work, it will be, you can just find me on Twitter at Green Screen Gal, and then on Instagram, I'm Green Screen Gal 44. And I'll have it in the link tree there, all the links there. And I have a couple Wakelets right now, one on yoga and mindfulness. And
what's your oh, there it is,
Wakelet
mindfulness. I got you. Okay, is your Wakelet profile, is it
it's at Green Screen Gal? Yep.
Okay, I'm going to share
I got
that
lucky to get my name.
Awesome. I love it when that happens. I've got just at Misbah. I love it. I'm going to share Erika's Wakelet profile in the chat as well. I love this. Here we go.
And I'll have the link up after I get off the call. I have to put it into my link tree for you all. So it's not there right yet, but it will be. I promise.
But there's still loads of awesome information on your profile, like really cool stuff. That's where I first discovered.
I'm just so flattered and excited. I could talk about, everyone that knows me, I could talk about this all day. I mean, I'm looking at the list of things I didn't get to, and so I would love to come on again. I mean, there's so much there. There's so much.
What does everyone think in the chat? Because I would love to have another conversation with you like soon. I think that there's so much more to cover about the subject. And I think that even just having like a monthly type of, like just something like a monthly moment where we can just not necessarily discuss all the usual trappings that like the ed tech, stuff is, because some of this, like, obviously I'm not by any way discounting the other subjects that we talk about in Wakelet. Like we have some amazing things. And like we spoke with Ken Shelton a few weeks back on equity in the classroom. I don't know if anyone caught it, but it was amazing. But yeah, I think it's really important to, in this space, not necessarily have conversations that are all very technically and touch this button and click here and then use this. It's important to have these human discussions, I think, and that's one of the things that we want to try and empower and facilitate at Wakelet a little bit more. We're very, very much about the human side of things. So I think, judging on the reaction from people in the comments, I think we'll definitely meet again and have
I hope so.
another conversation.
Yeah, what I'm doing right now is I'm actually bringing in my tech side. I'm creating a whole series called Cultivating Compassion on a Green Screen. So we even talk about how to be creative with all of your tech things, and we'll just tie in the mindfulness with it.
Can I also just say on that, I have never seen a more effective use of green screen, like educationally,
I love that.
ever. Like, yeah, it is unbelievable, honestly. Like the way you present your spirit, the stuff that you've shown is absolutely phenomenal. Honestly, I love it. I really love it.
You are so sweet. I mean, this is me the other day in class. I went swimming. I'm actually writing a blog spot right now for somebody, a guest spot on the 10 ways you can use green screen for COVID, for teaching, and there's some fun stuff. And the best one I can think of right now is put your classroom behind you. Put a picture of your classroom. Give the kids some comfort. There you go. But
I think it's a lot.
That's going to be on there too.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier than people think as well. I think a lot of people, when they see green screen, they think like this is going to be difficult. Let me just check very quickly. Okay, so I think we've just got a tiny few questions. So the first one's from Michelle. Very quickly, what was the name of the mindfulness app that you mentioned at the beginning?
Oh God, I forgot to actually mention a lot of them.
I think it was the one that you said was Oprah and Deepak.
Okay, Oprah and Deepak, they do 21-day meditation challenges, but right now for free, and I'm so glad she asked this, 10% Happier is now free for teachers. It's also free for nurses and grocery store workers. It's incredible. Dan Harris is a riot, and you'll see him in my slideshow. Oh gosh, what's the other one? The orange one, help me. It's on JetBlue. It's very popular, guys. It's you know what it is. Oh, I feel terrible.
Headspace.
It's free right now as well for educators. Gosh, I don't know where I put it. And I use the Calm app a lot. I love Insight Timer. It's a free one, and on and on and on with those. Oh, for kids, you should use. I know we have to go.
No. I think that's probably enough. I think that in terms of the question, the apps, that's cool. But there's one other question as well. Somebody in the chat has asked that they have stress tics, right? So like I know this. I've seen people before where they'll have like facial tics or something that they know comes from stress. Do you have any tips on like ways to deal with that, or would you say that that's kind of out of your purview?
Oh, I'm careful to answer questions like that because, but I do know, I have them reach out to me because I do know people that can help them with that. There's several things you can do. There's lots of modalities out there because I truly believe a lot of those things can be healed through mindfulness. And actually, Dr. Blaze, he works with, this is a different subject, but he works with students and teens and young adults that have tried to commit suicide more than once, but he only uses mindfulness. No drugs,
Right.
all mindfulness. And so I can lead them in the right direction for that.
Sure. Yeah, so I think it's just the case. Any questions, just direct them to at Green Screen Gal on Twitter. And then we do have some more questions.
But Headspace and Smiling Mind. Sorry about that. I had to get that out of my happy brain. Headspace is amazing, and Smiling Mind for kids. Go ahead.
Perfect. Just in case anybody's about to jump off, I'm just going to share the link to grab your certificate. So you can just grab your certificate of attendance for this session in the link that I'm going to be sharing now. So just copy and paste that link into your browser. You just fill in a little form so that it personalizes it with your name, and you'll get the certificate emailed to you within the hour. But I think that brings us to the close. I'll also be sharing Erika's Wakelet account as well shortly with you. We'll leave the chat open, okay? We'll leave the chat open for the next 5 minutes or so that you can go up and discuss things between yourselves if you want. But Erika, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been such a refreshing Oh yes, of course, and yes, we are going to be sharing this recording. Of course, we are. We've recorded this. We will be releasing this soon. Most likely, very shortly, I think. Probably by tomorrow, you'll be able to get an email to you, and then we'll be putting it out on Twitter as well. But yeah, I just wanted to say, Erika, like having these conversations are they're so refreshing, they're so meaningful, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to have this session and help these teachers, you know, look at things from a different perspective, because that's what it's all about. So do you have any closing words before we finish?
No, like I said, just sending love and light and good energy to everybody, because we can get through this, and just try really hard to stay in the present moment, and I'm, you know, reach out anytime. I'd love to help, and I'm so grateful that you had me here. Anybody that will let me talk about these things, you can tell I'm clearly passionate about it, and you know, anytime.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody who joined us in the chat today. I know that you probably have some more questions. We will 100% have another chat on mindfulness, I think, very soon. But we really appreciate you joining us as well, taking the hour out of your day. Thank you so much. We'll leave the chat running. I'll be sharing the links again. So yeah, just hang around the chat if you'd like to speak between yourselves or to discover those links again. But yeah, thank you so much. Erika, I think if you just cancel, if you just quit the box, then it won't shut the session off, and then I'll just mute my computer and stop the screen so that we can leave the chat on. Or if you'd like, Erika, you can just mute and stop your video, and then you can just like reply to people in the chat if you want any questions. Yeah, and have some fun with that.
Me with a good time.
Awesome. So stick around, guys, if you have any questions. We'll probably keep the chat open for the next like 5-10 minutes, but thank you all so much. I'm going to stop the video and mute, and I'll be sharing some links as well. But thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Namaste, my friend.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye.